Star Wars has entered a new era. Lucasfilm has shifted its focus over to TV shows instead of movies, and they're all in. The company's basically been spamming Disney Plus with content these days, and that's gotten fans a little worried about the future of the franchise. They've been voicing their concerns, and writer Dave Filoni just responded. He's given us a view of the future, and it looks pretty promising. Here's what you need to know. First, let's talk about the current state of the franchise. The series has been through a lot since Disney took over the reins. Before we got here, things were pretty simple for Star Wars fans. George Lucas was the mastermind behind everything. The original trilogy was a great time, and the prequels, well, we don't talk about the prequels. After the sequel trilogy, though, the franchise started getting a whole lot more complicated. After the extremely mixed reaction to the sequel trilogy, Lucasfilm decided it was time to step away from the movies, and that's where things started getting interesting. 2 years after the mess around Rise of Skywalker, the franchise feels like it's got direction again. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are in charge of content now, and these guys are super productive. Since 2019, they've overseen 8 seasons of TV. Sure, many of those were just executive producer credits, but they've obviously had a hand in this new vision for the property. Filoni's been making animated Star Wars shows for ages at this point, and his experience is obviously coming in handy for the live-action content. That said, it's brought up a major problem that's put fans a little on edge. Ever since The Mandalorian kickstarted the TV part of the franchise, we've been getting a steady dose of live-action content. That includes 2 seasons of Mando, The Book of Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, but that's just the start. There are tons more titles in the pipeline, including Andor, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, The Acolyte, and Lando. That's a lot of TV, and some viewers are worried that it'll burn out the fan base. That's right, we might be in danger of a content overload. Now that could be a problem because the new Star Wars shows all feel like Filoni/Favreau projects. They have similar tones and approaches to storytelling, and the similarities stretch beyond that. Just look at how The Book of Boba Fett turned into a show about Din Djarin and Grogu. Now, there's nothing wrong with this approach to the franchise, but anything can get boring if you watch it enough times. A lot of people have been pointing out how this could turn into a problem for the franchise, and Filoni just talked about it in a recent interview. The showrunner sat down with Entertainment Weekly during the Star Wars celebration and shared his thoughts about how the shows are being developed. He says that flexibility is a big part of the plan moving forward, and that the franchise is bound to evolve in the coming years. According to Filoni, the newer projects are going to have different tones and feels to them, and fans will not be disappointed. He says it's still a work in progress, but growth in the storytelling is an important concern for him and his team. That's a relief to hear, since fans have definitely been feeling the glut of content in Star Wars recently. Putting out different variations on the same themes might push people away from the shows, and Lucasfilm definitely doesn't want that to happen. It's good to know Filoni is keeping that in mind, but we still think there might be trouble around the corner. That's because the writer thinks Obi-Wan, The Mandalorian, and The Book of Boba Fett are examples of radically different shows, and that's definitely not what the fans think. The similarities between those projects are the whole reason viewers have begun to worry about the franchise. From their similar approaches to VFX to their faithful handling of the lore, all 3 TV shows that Lucasfilm has put out so far feel pretty similar. Sure, Filoni mentioned that things are going to keep evolving as we move forward, but how much can it? He and Favreau are still the major creatives behind The Mandalorian Season 3 and Ahsoka, and those are coming up right after Andor. His comments are especially notable considering Mark Ruffalo's recent comments. The Hulk actor came out to say that the MCU is superior to Star Wars because Marvel lets directors put their own spins on projects. He went so far as to say that viewers usually get the same version of Star Wars each time, and that was a pretty candid take on his part. What's more, his opinion echoes what Thor director Taika Waititi had to say about the franchise. He's heading up his own movie set in the universe, and the man's made some pretty interesting comments of his own. He says Lucasfilm's process is totally different from how Marvel does it. The New Zealander mentioned that the tone of the original story is really important to Star Wars fans, and he feels like he has to adhere to it for his own movie. Now, we don't know about you, but we think Waititi and Ruffalo are onto something. It's pretty telling that even people working for Disney can see there's a problem, and the reasons are pretty clear at this point. It honestly feels like the corporation is afraid of taking risks with the property, and the new TV shows are proof of that. Things started going wrong when The Last Jedi ruffled a few feathers upon release. The reaction to that movie was really polarizing, and it pushed Disney into a safety-first corner. They just don't want to take any more risks with one of their biggest cash cows, and to be honest, we get where they're coming from. At the end of the day, Star Wars isn't the MCU. It's a galaxy, not a universe, and that comes with a set of boundaries that creators have to work around. Sure, there's no excuse for recycling the same themes, but this franchise is basically its own genre. There's just nothing else like it. That's what keeps fans coming back. and Filoni and Favreau know that. They also know that the franchise needed some stability after the messy sequel trilogy, and it's got that now. Let's hope they can use the fans' goodwill to start taking a few calculated risks moving forward. Andor looks like a great place to start. It's got a new showrunner with Tony Gilroy and moves away from the VFX techniques that make the other shows look so samey. We can't wait to see it because it seems to be a lot darker than anything we've seen from the Disney Plus shows so far. Let's hope it's worth all the hype. With Filoni's comments covered, here's some other news about Star Wars. First up, actress Ming-Na Wen has opened up about her future in the franchise. We don't know about you, but we thought her performance as Fennec Shand in the Book of Boba Fett was one of the best parts of the spin-off. Her hardcore assassin was definitely a fitting partner for the legendary bounty hunter, and she says she'd love to come back for another season. While attending Fan Expo Boston, Ming-Na Wen said that she's been looking forward to another season of the show. She mentioned that she doesn't want to get anyone's hopes too high, but her comments make it feel like an announcement for season 2 might be on the horizon. The show ended up becoming really important for the overarching plot of The Mandalorian, so it wouldn't surprise us if the team came back for another round. We certainly wouldn't mind seeing Boba Fett lead the gangsters of Tatooine again. Next, Ewan McGregor just confirmed a rumor about Obi-Wan Kenobi. According to a few reports, the prequel show was initially set to be a trilogy of movies for the big screen. What's more, they were going to focus on Luke and Obi-Wan's relationship, and McGregor has confirmed that that's what the original plan was. The actor was also present at Fan Expo Boston, and he admitted that Disney and Lucasfilm started off by wanting to make a show about Kenobi and the young Skywalker. Eventually, though, they decided that it wouldn't be the best experience for the fans. Now, we'd have loved to see the relationship between the two characters before A New Hope. Given how successful the first season of Obi-Wan Kenobi was, though, we're thinking Lucasfilm doesn't have a lot of regrets. And finally, we've got another exciting image from Andor. The new TV show about Diego Luna's Cassian has got everyone excited. The series will be focusing on his missions pre-Rogue One, and we can't wait to learn more about the mysterious agent. And Lucasfilm just stoked the hype by giving us a glimpse of a new alien from the show. The picture was published in Total Magazine and features an alien that feels like it came right out of Mass Effect. Seriously, this thing looks really similar to the Alcor race from BioWare's hit sci-fi series. It's also pretty big since Luna looks pretty small standing in front of it. It's pretty cool to see a major TV show taking inspiration from a sci-fi video game. It honestly looks like a great addition to the Star Wars canon, and we can't wait to see it in action when Andor drops this October. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think of Filoni's comments? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.